Hello, Year 3. Happy Monday. Another week has started. Yesterday, I can say yesterday because I'm working today. Yesterday, there was a lot of snow, and I'm hoping you managed to get out and have a play in it and have a run around and experience being in the snow. We don't get it very often. I'm assuming that the snow is still on the ground today. So, of course, if you get a chance to go out in it, that's great. Amazing. Just make sure you do your work first and then have fun afterwards. So this week in maths, our topic is going to be lines and angles. So we've done a little bit of work on lines already, different types of lines, which we're going to recap in a minute. And now we're going to move forward on to angles, what an angle is, how to recognise them, and different types of angles that we might find in shapes. And that's what we're going to do all of this week. Now, our starter today is a little bit of a revision. Now, I know in our 5-a-days, we did revise a little bit of the line work in the last couple of weeks. So hopefully you're going to be whiz kids at this. So we would like you in a moment to watch a little video, which will just give you a reminder of some of the lines that we've studied already and learnt about. And then we're going to set you a little challenge, which I'll tell you about in a moment. So let me just share the screen and share the little video with you, and then we'll have a chat and I'll tell you what your starter for the lesson is today. Okay, so the video I'm about to show you from BBC Bite Size is revising some of those lines we've learnt about. Parallel lines, which are the lines that we remind ourselves like train tracks. They never stop, they keep going and they never meet. They just keep going and they never join together. And the other lines are our perpendicular lines. Now, we've learnt about those in brief. We haven't done any extended work on them, but they're the lines that meet at a right angle. We're going to need to know that this week because we are looking at angles at a right angle. There are also two other types of lines that we did talk about. They are our vertical lines. They're the lines that go from top to bottom or bottom to top. So this is a vertical line that I'm drawing with my finger. And then we've also got horizontal lines, which I'm drawing with my finger now. And in Otter class, the way that we remembered what horizontal meant was I imagine being at the beach and looking out over the sea. And it looks like the sky and the sea meet. And it makes a line. We call that the horizon. If you're looking out at the horizon, and in the word horizontal is the word horizon. So always remember the beach for horizontal and that line. So there are 4 types of lines that we've looked at: vertical, horizontal, parallel, and perpendicular, meeting at a right angle. So I'm just going to share the video clip with you just as a recap, and then I'll let you know what we're going to do next.
They will never cross, no matter how long they go on for. That's why they're used in races. Ready, and they're off. Oh, exciting stuff. Good pace. Looking good for Team Triangle. Come on, Triangle. Hey, the winner! What a race. Well done, you two. Oh, here we go. You're drawing your own lines now, are you? Come on, don't be a sore loser. Perpendicular lines cross at right angles. That's why they're not used in running races. Someone might know that already. Oh, yeah, I cannot be the only one that saw that coming.
So a real quick revision there on the parallel and perpendicular lines, which I know you know anyway. So that was on the BBC Bite Size website called Parallel and Perpendicular, just in case you couldn't hear it, because my sound sounded quite low on that. So if you couldn't hear it, you just type into Google BBC Bite Size and pause me for a minute, parallel and perpendicular if you need to watch it. But I think I've recapped anyway with you. I'm just going to stop the share there, come back to you. So for your starter for today's lesson, we need you to log into Education City for your starter today. Again, I can show you this if I go back to my share screen. So here we go. This is me logged into my Education City. It looks a little bit different to you because we obviously have teacher profiles and you have a child's profile. But if you go into My City and then you look under the folder named Angles, which you're going to need for this week as well. There it is, Angles. Now, we've done this in a sequence and you can't complete each activity until you've completed the one I set you. So you can't just go ahead. You can see they're padlocked, look, until you've completed the one I've asked for. So I'm asking you just to do this one here called Hold the Line. So So this is your starter for today. So if I just click into it, there we go. And it's asking you to identify horizontal and vertical lines and pairs of perpendicular and parallel lines. So this is really a recap of what we've done before. And what you do is when you press start, it will ask you...
And select the correct answer. Find all the horizontal lines.
Okay, so it's asking you a question. You've got to click on all the correct answers and then you get the next question. Now you can see there is a timer here. There are 10 questions and a score. Now these scores will be sent to us, so we'll be able to check on how well you did. You can't just go ahead and redo it if you don't do so well. So we want to see exactly what you can remember about horizontal lines, vertical lines, parallel lines and perpendicular lines. So pause me now, go and log on to your Education City page, go into your My City, find angles and do the first activity, hold the line. Do that for me now, and then when you're ready you can come back for our main lesson. Okay, welcome back. Hopefully you've got that done, your starter for today. And we'll be able to check up on your scores and how you've got on with your revision on those lines. So now we know what those lines are, we're going to move on today. And our WALT for today is to know what an angle is and to recognise right angles. Now we know what a right angle is because we've done it when we've done our perpendicular lines. But we're going to look into that into a bit more detail today so that we're really clear on what a right angle is and where to find them in shapes. So I'm going to show you another video clip now. I want you to listen really carefully. I'm going to turn up my volume a little bit because I think my volume was so quiet that maybe you couldn't hear my first video. I want you to listen really, really quietly. There are 2 pause buttons in this little clip I'm going to show you. Those pause buttons are activities. And if you go into your OneDrive folder, I have saved this sheet for you called Right Angle Practice. You're going to need this for the video we're going to watch, because when we pause, there are 2 little activities that I want you to have a go at as a little practice. And then the video clip will then give you the answer so you can tick it on your own. So you'll need that sheet in front of you. Obviously, if you don't have a printer or you're working in a different way, then either you can have this on the computer to do it, maybe if you know how to do that, or you could draw the shapes out in advance, which would take a bit longer. Easiest thing is to print it out if you can. So I'll just stop that share there now. So we're going to watch the video clip. We'll do the 2 paused activities and you can mark it yourself. I'll go over that with you and then we'll continue with today's lesson. So listen nice and carefully. Lots of information for you to take in.
Hello there, welcome to today's lesson. Today we're going to be learning about angles, and in particular, a really important angle called a right angle. And we'll start learning about it now in year 3, and right angles will be something that you learn more and more about as you go up through primary school and even into high school. But first of all, what is an angle? Well, here we've got a line. And now we've got another line. Did you see how the second line turned from the first line? And there's an angle, the gap between the 2 lines. So an angle is a measure of turn, a measure of how far 2 lines have turned away from each other. And we can see that we've got one angle there. Can you see another angle in this drawing? Well, there's another angle there, isn't there, all the way around. You see that the second angle is quite a bit larger than the first angle. How many angles can you see here? Pause the video quickly, have a go at noting them down. Well, we can see 4 angles, can't we? Because we've got like a cross shape here, and where each of the lines meet, the gap between each of the lines there is an angle, a measure of turn, a measure of the gap between 2 lines. So there are 4 angles there. Here we've got that same drawing and those 4 angles and a question. What is the same about all of the 4 angles? They're all the same size, aren't they? And you can see that all 4 of them together make a full turn. Let's watch this on the diagram on the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. All those 4 make a full turn, what you may call a circle or a full turn round a point. So each of those angles is a quarter of a turn. We've got 4 of them, they're equal, and all 4 together is a full turn. So each of them is a quarter of a full turn. And we call a quarter of a full turn a right angle. And that's one of the most important angles that we can learn about. A quarter of a full turn is a right angle. So there are 2 right angles in half a turn. There are 3 right angles in 3/4 of a turn. And for the full turn, there are 4 right angles.
Just want to pause the video there because it's really important that we remember here what we've done last week on our working time. And when we were looking at time, we were looking at a clock here. And we were talking about this line here, that would be our number 3, being quarter past, 1/4 past. Then if we go all the way around down to which would be our number 6 here, it would be half past, half a turn. Then if we go up here, we would call this quarter to, which is 3/4 of the hour, 1, 2, 3/4. And then up here, our 12 o'clock is our full turn, our o'clock. So it reminds me a little bit of those key skills we learnt last week when reading the time. I just thought I'd remind you about that. So we've got 1/2 turn, which would have been our quarter past, 1/4 turn. Another quarter turn, making half a turn, our half past. 1, 2, 3/4 turns, making our quarter to. And then our full turn up here for o'clock. Just a little reminder to see how it links into some of our other maths work.
Pause the video. How many right angles can you see?
Okay, so this is your first opportunity to pause the video. So now you need to pause me. So just pause me for a moment. You've got this sheet in front of you. How many right angles can you see all together here? So not in each individual picture, all together, how many right angles can you see? Pause me, have a go, and we'll come back. Okay, let's have a look together then. You can give yourself a mark for everyone that you get right.
So in that first diagram, I think it's smaller than a right angle, so we can't see any there. We've got a rectangle. We can see we've got 4 right angles there. Each corner of a rectangle is a right angle, and that's one of the properties of a rectangle. On the right hand side, that is a right angle. You could probably tell that. In this, it's not quite a rectangle, is it? Because it's got sort of, it looks like it's got corners cut off. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, it's a hexagon. And we've got 2 right angles there. And in the oval, there are no right angles, are there? In fact, no angles, because there are no straight lines.
Okay, so you can give yourself a score on this. You should have got in total 4, 5, 6, 7 right angles in that picture in total. Did you get 7? I hope so. Let us know how you got on with that one. I'll keep the video playing.
So there we've got our right angle in a triangle this time. And we use a special symbol for a right angle. That's a symbol for any angle, that sort of curve in the corner. But when it's a right angle, we use that symbol. So you imagine that the symbol we use plus the corner where the right angle is makes a square. And we always make sure that that symbol is the correct way around. So you can see the right angle there, but that's not how we'd show the right angle symbol. We'd show it like this.
So then if we draw a line around the here, watch my cursor. 1, 2, 3.
So the right angle symbol always makes
4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Makes like a mini square in there. And here, 1, 2, 3, 4. You've got another mini square. That's how I always remember it's a right angle, because it makes a little mini square inside.
Corner. And that's really useful. If you see that in a corner of a 2D shape, you know straight away that that is a right angle. So using the special symbol for a right angle, have a look at these 4 shapes and draw all the right angles, show all the right angles on each of the shapes.
Okay, so you need to pause me again now. This is the other practice of your right angle finding. Remember, we are using this symbol here, this blue symbol, to put into the corners that you think are right angles. So on each shape now, you can pause me, have a go at drawing in as many right angles as you think you can find, and then we'll mark it together. So pause me and I'll see you in a moment. Okay, hopefully you should have had a go at that now. Well done if you have. I'm going to play the video to see what marks you got on this. And you can send this across to us just so we can see, which would be great, in the same way you do with all your other work.
So let's have a look. You can see the sort of 3/4 of that oval. There's a right angle on the outside of that shape there.
And that's really important because that's not actually inside the shape. Now, if you've got that, well done, because that is a real tricky one. You can also show right angles on the outside of the shape. So that's a really important rule to remember there. So you can see the mini square has been made on the outside of that 3/4 of a circle. If you got that, well done.
We can see on that shape, we've got 2 right angles. Now on these cross-looking type of shape, we've got some right angles inside. Can you also see some right angles outside the shape? Lots of right angles on that shape.
So there's loads in this cross shape here. You can see there's 1 here at the 2 at the top, sorry, 2 on the side, 2 down here, 2 down here, but also on the outside, this is showing a right angle as well. So there's quite a lot in that one there. If you got all of those, well done. Give yourself 1 tick for this one if you got it. I'm going to say give yourself a tick if you said there were no right angles in that. So that's 2 marks. Then you get a tick here and a tick here. That's 4 marks in total. And then down here, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 inside. So give you a score of 8 if you got 8 inside. And then in total, 9, 10, 11, 12 in total. So you could have scored here in total 12, 13, 14, 16 points if you managed to get all of those. If not, don't worry. This is our practice. So now you know you can find them on the outside of shapes as well as on the inside. When you do today's work, it will mean that you know something new when you're finding right angles.
So now it's over to you, and I can't check this. I can't give you the answer here exactly, so you'll have to ask an adult at home or a teacher if you're working in school. Create a drawing which contains 7 right angles.
Okay, so the last little bit of practice we're going to do now is to create a drawing. Now, I've created my own drawing, so I'm going to just stop the share because I don't need that video anymore. Here is my drawing. I don't want to spend too long looking at it because I don't want you to copy mine. I've drawn a shape. Now, I haven't used a ruler, which is naughty of me, so I'm hoping you're going to use a ruler when you're drawing a shape. I have drawn a shape, and it took me a minute to think about it, and it has got 7 right angles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the inside. And then I sneakily had 2 on the outside as well, making 7 right angles in total. That's my shape. I want you to have a go at drawing your own shape with 7 right angles. It might be a bit tricky because you have to really think about it when you're doing it. And it might take a few attempts. It took me a few attempts to do it. But when you've got one with 7 right angles, send it across to me because I would love to see all the different kinds of shapes you can make with 7 right angles inside. So now that we know how to find a right angle in a shape and we know what a right angle is, so a right angle is when 2 lines come apart and it's the space in between 2 lines. That's what makes an angle. So you can do it with your hand. Look, I'm making an angle. I'm making a right angle. I'm making bigger than a right angle, okay? Or smaller than a right angle. So it's when 2 lines come together and it's the space in between. That's what an angle is. And we know that a right angle, 2 lines here make the perpendicular lines. When we draw half of a square in there, it makes a mini square inside the shape. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to be investigating right angles in shapes. So I'm going to show you what you're going to do in today's task. You've had a busy morning so far. You should have done Education City, 2 practice questions, and drawn a shape with 7 right angles in before you've even started your main activity today. I'm going to show you your main activity now, and then you can start getting on with today's work. So if I just share the screen, you've all got your own task to do today. And also it's important to remember that we are now back to our normal grouping. So we are back to circles, squares and hexagons. You should know which group you're on. So here's the hexagons. It's got your group name at the top, the date and the waltz, which is to recognise right angles. Now you've got this very unusual picture. Now I did this last year with my maths class last year, and every time the children found the answer they thought was the answer, there was always one missing. Okay, so it's a really challenging shape, this is. So within this whole shape, which on the outside is a rectangle, there are many right angles hidden. Your job is to find as many as you can and write your answer in here and send them across to us, because we would like to know who found the most right angles in your shape. So hexagons, that's your job today, alongside all the other things you've had to do. Squares, you've got 2 pieces of paper today that you're going to need. It's got squares at the top, the date and the walt again. You've got this little grid that's empty. So you've got no right angles, 1 right angle, 2 or more right angles. And then on your other sheet, you've got these shapes, and these shapes will need to be cut out and stuck under the correct heading here. If it's got no right angles, 1 right angle, or 2 or more right angles. So that's what you are going to do for your task, squares. And then circles, you've got 3 little pictures, 3 boats, a bit like hexagons, but maybe not as many. There are right angles hidden in each of these boats. So we want you to find them and label them the same way. Look, I've shown you up here that we saw on the video using that little symbol. And tell me how many you can find all together. That would be really good to see, and send them across to us so we can see who found the most. When you've completed your task today, and I know you've got a lot to get on with today, there is an extension if you feel that you can manage it in the same time you would spend at school in a maths lesson. Remember, this is 1 hour. So once you've watched the video and you've done all your little tasks, we don't really want you to spend more than that time on a lesson, because that's how long we would have in school. So if you manage to do all of that and you've got a little bit of time extra, there is an extension for all of you. This is the extension here. So it says for all of you, it's got the date. Use a pencil to show all of the right angles you can find in these 3 pictures. So it's similar to what you've been doing. Which one has the most right angles? Is it A, B, or C? Okay, so that's your extension for today. So year 3, that's what you're doing. You're finding right angles within shapes. It's our first activity on angles. There is so much to get on with, and it seems like a lot of work, but they're only little bits. So the 2 practice ones will be nice and quick. The drawing of the 7 angles within a shape shouldn't take you too long. Then you've got your main activity, and if you've got time to do your extension, that would be great. Remember, this is not our assessed piece, so you do not have to send it across to us. There will be another piece of work this week that we will mark fully. But if you do want to send across your work, we will respond via email just to let you know how you got on. We will just not mark it in as much detail as your assessed piece of work. And it's up to you whether you send it across or not. As I've said before, it's really important that you try and keep the date on. I'm trying to put the dates on for you to save a job, and keep it in a folder, in a file at home, so that when you return to school, you've got all your work together. So good luck today. I will speak to you again tomorrow.